Before we get into today's video, I just want to make it clear that this is not to throw shade at the featured player. I'm just highlighting how one of the PDC pros, those with tour cards, with the lowest average over the year, has made it to the World Championship, and how some will see that as unfair. It's a crazy story, whatever you think. Now, the player we're going to be focusing on is 21-year-old Englishman Tavis Dudney, who last year in October won 8 games back-to-back, including a whitewash over Jurjen van der Velde in the final, to pick up his first title on the development tour. He finished the year with a seasonal average on the PDC's junior circuit of 82.32, the 26th highest, so nobody expected much of him heading into Q School. But at Q School, he went on a great run on day 3 to reach the final, where he averaged 95 and beat Adam Paxton, meaning that he won a 2-year PDC tour card, which left him clearly very emotional. Tavis had a decent start to life on the Pro Tour results-wise, but not performance-wise, putting in a highest average of 90.03 across the first 4 Players' Championships, but managing to win his first game in 3 of them, beating former PDC title winners Max Hopp and Jelle Klaassen, as well as Germany's Leon Weber. After 2 of those wins though, his average fell to below 80, with a 76.60 against Gezi Price in Event 3. Shortly after those came his PDC major debut on an outer board at the UK Open, and he was drawn against Milton Keynes amateur qualifier Graham Hull. Despite Tavis being the current tour card holder, Hull, a former tour card holder himself, was a fairly big favourite with bookmakers at 1.4. And they were right. Tavis averaged just under 76.5 and lost 6 legs to 0, a very disappointing performance and result. After 2 more first round Players' Championship losses, he then had his best run of the season in mid-March, beating Rhys Griffin, the German number 1 Martin Schindler and Nick Kenny, with averages spanning from 82 to almost 91. That saw him reach a Players' Championship last 16 for the first time, where he then lost 6-2 to a great performance from Gary Anderson. But after that, he really failed to push on and had a very poor rest of the season, and in the remaining 27 Players' Championships, he won only 4 matches, never more than 2 in one event, and lost 12 games in a row between April and July. He finished that tour of 34 events with a seasonal average of just 83.59, the 132nd highest of the 135 players to play more than 25 games, only more than Josh Richardson, Pero Lubitsch and Titus Karnik. He averaged even lower at 83.01 across the 14 Eurotour qualifiers, winning just 2 games and getting nowhere near making any of the stage tournaments. One of those wins did come after an encouraging 90.23 average at the final qualifier, but he then followed that up with a very disappointing 69.44 average and a 6-1 loss to James Hurrell. His results were nowhere near enough to qualify for the Players' Championship finals or World Championship through the rankings, as he earned just 9.5k over the year, seeing him down in 133rd, the lowest of the tour card winners from this year's UK Q School. During the professional season, he also played in all but one of the development tour events, as he's still eligible, but he only reached 1 semi-final and 2 quarter-finals, a poor return for a tour card holder, which saw him finish down in 29th on the Order of Merit, miles away from the 3 World Championship qualifying spots, which ended up being 4 due to Jan van Veen winning the World Youth Championship. In that World Youth event, which would have given him a World Championship spot, Tavis made it out his group averaging 81, but was then eliminated in the last 32 with the same average, after scraping a win in the last 64 with a 75 average. His penultimate chance to make it to Ali Pali this year came at the brand new UK and Ireland mixed tour card holder and amateur qualifier, but he was devastatingly whitewashed in his first game, losing 6-0 to Andy Hamilton with an average of 72. So, a few weeks on, when he headed into the last chance tour card holder qualifier with 5 spots up for grabs from 44 players, he was unfancy to say the least, and many felt like he'd be lucky to just win 1 game, let alone the 3 or 4 he'd need to make it through. And it got off to an absolute terrible start, as he got a tough draw against Daryl Pilgrim in the last 40, and in a 1-7 game, he lost 6 of the first 7 legs to go just 1 away from elimination. However, both players were averaging similarly, and Tavis then did the unthinkable, winning the next 6 legs surviving match starts to win in his sudden death leg and move through to the next round. He now was just 2 wins away from Ali Pali, but in his next game, another first to 7, he fell 6-3 behind to Jim Long and was averaging 84, almost 5 points lower than his opponent. But then it happened again, a big comeback from Tavis as he won 4 legs in a row, taking out 108 in the deciding leg to win, having survived 5 match starts and finished with an 82 average. He was now through to the all-important deciding game where he would face Martin Dracht for a spot at Ali Pali. Despite the higher pressure, he made a better start, with the game tied at 3-all and both players averaging 86 after 6 holds of throw in the first 6 legs. But he then broke away, winning 4 of the next 5 legs to get a huge 7-4 win and crazily qualify for Ali Pali against the odds. He won those games with a daily average of 87, secured the minimum first round losers money of £15,000, more than 1.5 times more than the 9.5k he'd earned in the rest of the year. He secured all that money after just winning 3 games on the day, having in the rest of the season only won 10 games, less than Daryl Pilgrim who won 22, Jelle Klaasen who won 19, Patrick Uraerts who won 21, and Denny Coulter who won 16. But all of those players will finish the season with less ranking money than him, and none of those made it to Ali Pali. Klaasen reached a ranking floor final back in February, and Coulter made one in October. Tavis's 83.6 seasonal average was the 4th lowest of any of the 128 tour card holders, whereas Mike Ivanhoven, who averaged 91.1, is arguably the craziest example of a player to miss out. He had the 64th highest of the 128 and won 28 games compared to the 6th of Tavis, but failed to make it through the qualifier and missed out on qualifying through the Pro Tour Order of Merit by just £500, falling 1 win short, having devastatingly lost 6-5 to Patrick Uraerts in the penultimate event despite having led 5-2, averaging 117.45 at that point. Last year, Mike also shockingly missed out on Ali Pali by just £500, and he was also £1,000 off the year before that. Obviously, those past misses shouldn't affect this year, but is this system really fair, with 5 spots for the most important and valuable event of the year going to a single qualifying tournament where 3 match wins outweigh a difference of up to 16 wins between the players in the rest of the year? Some would argue that, like Tavis, Mike did get the chance to play in a regional qualifying event, a Dutch and Belgian one, where he lost in the last 16. That event was won by tour card holder Andy Bartons, who also made it to Ali Pali despite a poor year and not earning enough money on the Pro Tour. Both Mike and Andy could play in that due to a rule which means that any eligible player in the first year of their tour card can play in their regional qualifier, whereas players in year 2 who are still outside the top 64 also can. Any player in year 3 or higher isn't allowed to. That same rule meant that Oscar Lakaziak could qualify through the PDC Nordic and Baltic rankings despite being a tour card holder in his first year. Oscar won just 8 games in Players' Championships in the 29 events he attended, with the only players to play the majority of events and win the same or less being Stefan Hendrik with also 8 and Pera Ljubic with just 5. Personally, I think in a tournament which already has so many spots going to professional players playing on the Pro Tour, the international qualifiers should be just that. They should come from different countries around the world, and they shouldn't just be last chance options for tour card holders. But this is a tricky one to decide exactly what to do. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe, as currently just 15% of my viewers are, and it would really help the channel out. You can also hit the bell icon if you want to get notified whenever I upload a brand new darts video. Please also leave a thumbs up if you're excited for the World Championship, and if there's any topics you want me to cover going forward, let me know in the comment section. Thanks for watching.